So we're always trying to get more and more parents to join us for our meetings. We're always interested to find out what questions you may have, what concerns you may have, especially right now during distance learning. So before we officially begin with the agenda, I always like to start off with a little icebreaker question to get us all participating. And it's something you can put in the chat box, and you can answer in English or Spanish. And I'll go ahead and post the question in the chat box. But right now in November, you know, we have Thanksgiving coming up. It's the time when we are thankful for the many things we have in our lives. And I know with the pandemic, our Thanksgiving this season is going to be a little different. I know for my family, usually we have 25, 30 of us get together for Thanksgiving, but not this year. It's going to be a lot less based on the restrictions that our state governor has put in place, because we do want to be safe and we want to continue being healthy. So I know when we ask what we're thankful for, we typically, automatically, all of us, we say our family and our health. We're always thankful for our family and health. So I'm going to ask the same question. And so I'm putting it in the chat box. What is something other than family or friends that you are thankful for? So other than family and good health, what is something we are thankful for this season? And it's okay to be selfish. It's okay for it to be this one thing we have at home that we really like, or something we like to do. What is it that we're really thankful for? So I'm going to put my answer in the chat box because it's something that I really enjoy doing. So again, other than family and good health, what is something we are thankful for this season? I put my answer in the chat box. That's something I really like and enjoy, and I love riding my bike. I just do. Gives me peace and not only exercise, but it kind of is my escape. Oh, Mr. Lara, thankful that he's working at Sweetwater High. Yes, me too. Again, you can think about it, answer in the chat box. I know it's harder because we all tend to say family and good health, and those are always great things to be thankful for, of course. Oh, Miss Gloria Martinez, her workout corner. I'm assuming at home. Nice. Thankful I'm back working. Yes. That's actually a very good thing right now. Unfortunately, we know of people that are not able to go back to work because of the pandemic. Thank you for participating and sharing with us. Anyone else? Well, keep thinking about it, and you can answer that question later during the meeting. It's okay. So I'm interested to see and hear what you're all thankful for. That's how we get to know each other better. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and continue with our agenda. And as usual, any questions, concerns you may have, we'll table those to the end of the meeting. We'll go ahead and answer those questions you may have. But for now, we'll go ahead and continue with our agenda. Thank you so much. Okay, so at this time, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Lara, our attendance coordinator.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Can you all hear me? Okay, great. Thank you so much. It's nice to be with all of you, parents. Happy Friday. My name is Mr. Lara. I'm this year's attendance coordinator, and I've been asked to share a PowerPoint or a Google slide with you about attendance. So I'm gonna do that right now. So if we can go to the next slide. Thank you, Eric, for presenting. So this is the contact information for me as the attendance coordinator. If you have concerns about attendance or problems with attendance, you can always contact me either by calling me or emailing me. If you want to report an absence, the best way to do that is with Miss Nakashima, our attendance technician. That's her direct line and her email as well. So I want to make sure everyone has the contact information, because that's so important that you know who to contact If you're having concerns about attendance, bring those concerns to me. If you're just wanting to report an absence, you can do that with Ms. Nakashima. Okay, next slide. It's important that everybody knows the schedule for distance learning. And so that's the schedule, and that's also on our school website. So all students starting at 9 o'clock, Monday through Thursday, need to be in their morning class. We have block schedules, so they're in 3 classes a day, Monday through Thursday, starting at 9. The second block starts at 10:40, and then the third block after lunch starts at 1. Students need to be in class on time. And we'll talk about this in regards to attendance, because many teachers take attendance at the beginning of the period. And so students need to be on class on time as best they can. And then they'll be online, it varies by teacher, but they'll be online 30, 45 minutes, maybe a little bit more, maybe, more or less. But students need to be online in class to be considered present, okay? Friday is all periods. And so at 9:25, your son or daughter needs to be in their first period class, and then they go to all classes in their shorter periods. Okay, next slide. Next slide. I wish I could advance this myself. So what are some of the challenges? Some challenges with distance learning: technology, technology, technology. Some of you, I had a problem the other day. I was on a Zoom meeting and I was echoing and I didn't know why. I had to leave the meeting. So technology can be and is a challenge, even with the adults, even with the teachers. So that sometimes is a challenge when it comes to attendance. It's harder for teachers to take attendance online versus when students are in class and we can physically see them. So it is more difficult. And I teach 2 history classes. And so I know sometimes I've made mistakes where a student was there and I marked them absent. The other challenge is students have to be responsible to log on to class on their own. It's not like they get up in the morning, get dressed and come to school. They're doing this at home. And you may not be at home. You may be at work or somewhere else, or you're helping your other children and they're in their bedroom. And you need to depend that they're going to be logging on and getting to class. And then parents, and guardians don't always know. This is a really new way of learning, a really new way of teaching. Some parents and guardians aren't always sure like how it works. So at the end, we'll take any questions if you have any specific questions, but sometimes that can be a challenge because your son or daughter is saying, hey, I was going to class, I'm going to class. And it's hard to know, well, were you? Because it's saying you were marked absent. So it can be a challenge sometimes. Okay, next slide. Next, Eric, I'm not sure if you can hear me, Eric. Can we go to the next slide? I'm going to make my hand signal. What should you do if your child cannot attend online class? Well, it's just we're going to follow the same format as if your son or daughter couldn't come to school before the pandemic, right? You need to contact Ms. Nakashima in the attendance office to excuse your son or daughter's absence. Okay. You can call or email Ms. Nakashima. The contact information is in the first slide. Email is preferred. And if it is an email, it must be from the parent or guardian's email account. So if you have a Gmail account or a Yahoo account, if we get an email from a different account, we don't always know who's sending that email. So it has to be the email that is in our system. And if you need to change that, you can go online to your parent portal for Infinite Campus and change your email, phone number, or any other information. Students cannot excuse their own absences. We have emails that come to me or Ms. Nakashima saying, hey, I couldn't make it to class today. But that we cannot allow students to excuse their own absence. It must be the parent or guardian calling or emailing. But students should contact the teacher by email to let them know if they cannot attend class, just so they can check in on what the work is. And of course, the teachers are posting the work on Google, their Google Classroom. And remember, students are still responsible for work that they miss when they're absent. Even if it was like regular school, if a student can't make it or their laptop wasn't working that day, and they missed the lesson, they missed the work, they have to go and make up that work. Okay, so the absences doesn't excuse them from completing the work. Okay, next slide. So it's very important that your son or daughter knows how the teachers take attendance, because teachers do it a little bit differently. Some teachers use a Google Meet app that they just click and it tells them, it just makes a list of everybody who's in class. Some teachers, like myself, have them write their name in the chat. Others use a Google form. Some teachers do a roll call. They call the name and the student has to unmute themselves and say, here. So if the student isn't paying attention or their mic is having a problem, they might get marked absent. So it's possible that your child may log on to class and they might not get marked present. So it's important for them to know, your student, what is the attendance procedure for each of their teachers. Okay, next slide. Okay, what should you do if the teacher marks your child absent from online class, but they were present? They were really there. Well, the number one thing is to contact the teacher as soon as possible. If you're contacting the teacher from an absence from August, the teacher's not going to remember if your son or daughter was there. So it's important that you log on, that your student, we want the students to communicate that to the teacher by an email. Hey, Mr. Lara, I was in class today. You were talking about World War I in history, but you marked me absent. And when I see that, I will contact the attendance office and let them know I made a mistake, and they can change it from to present. Okay, the sooner you do that, the better. So we want the students to be responsible for their attendance, to monitor their attendance, and to contact their teacher if there was a mistake. Now, if you don't get a response from the teacher, if you've emailed once and then you try to, or your son or daughter tries to email again and they don't get a response the second time, then you, the parent or guardian, or even the student, can email me. Hey, I contacted the teacher because I was present on Monday. They haven't responded. Give them a couple of days to respond. And if they don't, then let me know and I will facilitate the communication. I will help to make that communication happen to confirm that you really, the student was there, and then we'll fix that attendance. Okay, next slide. Okay, what should you do if your child cannot attend class because of a technology problem? Well, the district now is allowing us to, that's now considered an excused absence. And there's a code for that called ND, which stands for no device. That means like the laptop isn't working. There's no Wi-Fi. The power went out. We saw some power outages recently. So we know things happen. So if that happens, if there's a technology problem, we want to treat that like your son or daughter was sick or had a doctor's appointment, they couldn't make it. We want the parent or guardian to contact Ms. Nakashima in the attendance office to clear the absence. It can be an email or it can be a phone call. And remember, students cannot excuse that kind of absence. Still needs to be the parent or guardian contacting us saying our Wi-Fi was down or the laptop wasn't working or whatever the issue is, and we'll clear that to the ND code, okay? But we still want your son or daughter to try to get a hold of the teacher and let them know, okay? Sometimes they can even use their phone to email the teacher, because if the Wi-Fi is down, we know they can't use the laptop. They should use their phone at least to get a hold of the teacher and say, you know what, my computer's not working right now, because we want that communication to happen with between the students and the teacher. Okay, next slide. So some suggestions for attendance. Students should turn their computers on and make sure that they can connect to the Wi-Fi about 10 minutes before class. So before this meeting, I made sure I had the link. I made sure I could connect. I did that because I didn't want to be, getting late to this meeting because I knew I had to present. So it's always a good idea to have your son or daughter turn on their computer in the morning before class. Make sure they can connect, make sure the link is active and that they can do that, okay? Because like I said, if they're trying to do that and it delays them getting into class, that might lead to them being marked absent. I tell students, have a backup plan. It's like if I walked out of my house and I my car wasn't working, I wouldn't just say, oh, I'm not going to go to work today. Too bad. I would figure out a way. Like I would call a friend to come pick me up. I'd call an Uber. I'd take the bus. I'd call my boss saying, hey, I'm running late. I would do something. I would just want to say, oh, well, my car's not working. I don't have to go to work today, right? We wouldn't do that. So I want students to learn that as well. If their laptop isn't working, if the Wi-Fi is down, have a backup plan. Maybe it's the cell phone. Maybe it's I don't know, maybe there's another computer in the house that they could use or something. Try to think about what would you do if your computer isn't working or your Wi-Fi. What is there a backup plan? Okay, maybe that's not always possible in every case, but just kind of students should have that plan in mind if they can have that. For you as parents, find a way to monitor your son or daughter if they're actually attending class. I know this is difficult if you're at work and they're at home. I know it's very difficult because you're really not able to see what they're doing. I've actually had a couple of students, they take a picture and they send it to their mom or dad, like, look, I'm on class. Look, I'm in, you can see me, I'm in class, right? I don't say you all have to do that, but if you're doubtful and you're like, you know what, you keep getting marked absent, Mijo, what's going on? You may want to find a way to try to, ensure that they're doing that, right? And I know sometimes the kids are in their bedrooms attending class, which is fine, right? Because sometimes there's other things going on in the living room and the kitchen, and maybe that's the quiet place. But when they're in their bedroom with the door closed, you're not always 100% sure. So maybe you may want to just kind of pop in there, like, oh, let me just check that you're in your math class right now, and just kind of like if you're at home when they're supposed to be in class, right? Because I know sometimes it's difficult to know what they're doing. You can always check your son or daughter's attendance on Infinite Campus parent portal. Hopefully you're getting the messages, the phone calls or the emails when your son or daughter is not in class, because that system is up and running. If the laptop is not working, please, you can bring it to the school, in front of the school on Highland, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 to 10. So if the laptop is not working, please bring it in, and we will try to fix it or replace it or do whatever we can. Okay? And I think that's it, because I know I only have 20 minutes. So are there any questions or concerns about attendance? You can either unmute yourself or you want to ask in the chat. Do we have time, Dr. Gavin, for questions? Okay, so we have a few minutes. Are there any questions about attendance? I know it's kind of a big topic, but I want to make sure that I give you the information that I feel is important for you to know as a parent or guardian to support attendance for distance learning.
And just a quick message as people are thinking about their question, or they can type it in the chat. If any parent needs help with access to Jupiter grades, if you don't have your login or have never entered the website to check your student grades, I'm going to put my email address and then Ms. Denise Iniguez. Both of us can assist you if you need help with that, okay? Do we have any questions for Mr. Lado?
No, everything is good. Thank you.
Okay, so someone actually did ask a question. Students are expected to be on time. Teachers are to be on time. Correct. Yeah, I mean, yes, that teachers should be on time. I will tell you, I'm going to just full disclosure. I was late 4 minutes one time because I was on a phone call with a parent regarding attendance, and then I saw that. So it may happen. It hopefully doesn't happen very often. But yes, teachers should be, and Dr. Gavin can answer this probably better than I do. The expectations that teachers should be at every class on time. But sometimes technology problems happen with teachers as well. It's happened to me. So, we're just going to keep working through this and the best that we can.
And yes, again, that's happened to me as well, where I'm a little late. But with that said, if it's consistently, because I'm not always late to meetings, it's once in a long while because of technology issues, but I make it there, maybe a few minutes late. But if say I were always late, every single time, every single meeting, that's going to seem more like maybe that's me running late or not logging in on time. So if your son or daughter has a particular teacher that is always late, and especially if it's more than a few minutes, it's 10, 15, 20 minutes, let me know. I want to make sure that we're all not only holding each other accountable, but we want to be respectful of our students' time as well. If they're making every effort to be on time and it's cutting into their asynchronous time to get their work done, because now that the lesson started late, that means it's going to go in later into the period. That's something we would want to fix. So if it's something that's happening a lot with the same teacher, let me know, and I'll address it discreetly. I don't say, oh, this person told me, this student or this parent told me. It's a big class, or anybody could have told me. I address it, and it's not about getting anyone into trouble. It's about just making sure we make things right for everyone. Mr. Lara, thank you so much for your presentation. I mean, those are all really good reminders for everyone. I know those are all things that I've been practicing, that I learned, the hard way. It's not like when you go live into a meeting where you walk in and there you are. Logging in sometimes can be a problem. So I always try to log in at least 5 or 10 minutes prior. And even if I get in the first time and I'm early, okay, well, now I can get up, go get my glass of water, get set up here, go do something else, but at least I know I'm logged on. So it's not like they have to sit there and wait for class to start. All right, thank you so much. We'll go on with the rest of our agenda. I believe we have our counselor update.
Hello, good morning. My name is Garcia. I'm here at Sweetwater. It's good to be here this morning. That was some great information, Mr. Lara, and it's definitely something that we're definitely putting all our efforts into, having students show up as far as attendance. So as a counseling team, we're doing everything we can to support that effort as well. We're an important part of that, and we want to continue to remind parents that we're here for support for your students, for your children, and please reach out to us. I think one of the big things as far as attendance, as far as administrators, counselors especially, is that communication. And as long as students are communicating with us, we're able to get that support out to them in the best possible way. So just a few updates from the counseling department. So this month, the month of November, we started college workshops for students, for our seniors, college application workshops. So if you have a senior, know that Tuesdays and Thursdays in the month of November, we are meeting with students. An email went out with those links, with those times. An email went out, but we are there for students that are looking to fill out college applications. If they want to fill out the FAFSA, because that application is also available. The FAFSA is very important because that is how students will be able to receive that financial aid to be able to go to a four-year university, community college, whether it's a trade school, vocational school. The FAFSA is very important. The application is a little extensive, tedious to fill out, so we are there if they need help with that. So that is the month of November, Tuesdays and Thursdays. They are able to log on. They should have all that information emailed to their Jupiter. If they don't have it, please log on to our website, and that information is there as well. November 17th, we have a district-wide FAFSA info night. So this is where parents and students can log on, and we have district personnel and people we have invited to give a presentation on everything that has to do with FAFSA. So that is November 17th, and that is also in our website if you guys want to go there, get that info and get those times. With our ninth graders, we're also working with them. We are starting the 6-year plan with them. So just if you want to ask your student about that, hey, have you filled out your 6-year plan yet? Because that is something that went out. Unfortunately, during distance learning, it's something that they have to watch on their own and they have to fill out on their own. Whereas when we were back on campus, that was something that students would come in, we would meet face to face, we would fill out the 4-year plan in person. So that's something we're currently doing right now. And again, we are there to support our freshmen in completing their 4-year plan. But those have gone out and students are ready to fill those out. So those are the big things we're working on right now as a counseling department. But the most important thing that kind of goes with what Mr. Lara was talking about in talking about some of the struggles that our students are having in terms of attendance, whether it be a device issue, whether it be a social emotional issue, whether it just be a family issue, right? We're seeing everything. It's a broad spectrum as to why students are having issues and problems showing up to class, logging into their class. Just know that as a counseling department, we are there to support that as well. And we're working very closely with Mr. Lara and the administrators in trying to support that effort to make sure that kids have all the tools that they need to show up to class daily. So that's kind of where we're at. So the big thing for us is communicate with us, reach out to us. All of our information is here on our website that Mr. Hernandez has just put up. If you go to contact us, all of our information is there. So you know who your child's counselor is. You can contact that counselor specifically. You can contact me as head counselor this year. If there's a question that you have, you could definitely reach out to me. But I think communication is an important part during this distance learning time, that we're not actually together in person, where, a student can just ask a teacher a question during class. It was a lot easier. Communication was a lot easier back then. But since we're in this situation, I know students and parents have to go out of their way to either email us, call us, and we keep encouraging that. Reach out to us if you have a question in any of these areas. I believe there was some questions that were sent out, Amy. Is Ms. Cuellar Martinez, were there some questions that went out?
Yes, there was one question specifically for the counseling team regarding mental health, how parents can help their students if they're behind and they're affected with mental health during the pandemic.
Okay.
It goes in line with one of our other guests that we have today, that will have some resources for parents. But can you give some examples of how you've been able to help students with mental health?
So yeah, so definitely mental health, as I kind of started to say, and then it's in line with what Mr. Lara was saying. Definitely, we're seeing a lot of students starting to deal with the mental health issues, whether it be anxiety, whether it be depression. We're starting to see that, and definitely this pandemic distance learning situation is definitely adding to that. Students are stressed, students are anxious. Students are becoming depressed from not having that contact with friends and with school community. So it's definitely happening, and we're starting to see that. So that in turn starts to affect attendance. I mean, it's natural. Then kids just don't want to log on. Like, I'm stressed out, I'm done, I've had it, I'm depressed. I don't want to log into class because now they feel that that's making it worse. So there's definitely a connection there. So that's where we say that communication is important, that you reach out to us so that we can hear each specific situation. I mean, I can give a general answer right now, but really when we're talking about mental health, it's very specific to each individual student. It's also a wide range there, from the kid that's maybe just feeling a little sad to, I hate to say, the student that already may be having thoughts of hurting themselves. So there's a broad range there. So that's why communicating to a counselor, communicating to a teacher, because sometimes the student feels better communicating to the teacher, and then the teacher will reach out to us. But the bottom line is having the student or the parent reach out to somebody at the school. Definitely reach out to us if you want. we'll assess the situation, we'll see where the student is at on that spectrum, and we'll go ahead and make a proper referral. And we have different places we refer to where we work in very closely with the FRC here in National City, who has taken care of a lot of our, who has supported a lot of our students. We also have our own district therapists who are supporting a lot of our students. So through that, we're seeing a lot of students improve, and then therefore we start to see attendance improve. Because the truth is, we want to take care of those mental health issues first. That's primary. We want to make sure the kid is okay here, and from there they can go ahead and do what they have to do, and they'll feel more comfortable participating in school. But the only thing I can say is have students reach out to us. We'll assess the situation, and we'll be sure we make a proper referral for that particular case. And then from there, we can work with the academics. We can talk to the teachers. We can let them know. I know I've shot out some emails to teachers of certain students. Hey, this student is going through something, and we don't have to give them all the details, but this student is going through something. We please have some flexibility, maybe in due dates, assignments, and things of that nature. And then we're also in touch with attendance with Mr. Lara, and we're able to document all of that. So there is support. I know that's kind of a lot there, but what I say is there is support for those that are struggling with the social emotional piece of this whole pandemic and the distance learning. Now, I think there was another question, right? Was there another question? I believe I saw two questions, and I just saw them this morning. I'm sorry.
It has to do with providing tutoring for their students. So this parent in particular, but I imagine there are a lot of parents who probably have a similar question, is that their students may be getting lower grades than they used to. And what tutoring or assistance are they able to get?
Okay. Yes, so it's all still part of the same package, right? Just the distance learning, the stress, the anxiety, just, you know, not being there in person. That it's like I said, it's all part of the same package here. Students are struggling, so there is tutoring. We do have some tutoring after school. We're kind of limited in our tutoring after school, where I believe the after school program is providing tutoring in math currently, and they're providing tutoring in computer science, which is kind of specific. So if the student does need help in math, there is after school support tutoring through that time. However, for all other subjects, for all other classes, we have embedded a time during the day, during what we call the asynchronous time, where students can reach out to their teacher and they could get the support during the day from that particular teacher in that particular subject. So there is tutoring in that sense. We may not call that tutoring, but there is that academic support, which I personally think is better than tutoring, because that's a time you have with that teacher in that subject. So it's very specific. So I think students should start there, should see that and should start there. And I go back to the communication piece, right? It always goes back to that. Really communicate with that teacher, with that math teacher, history teacher, where they're struggling, and say, hey, can I stay during the asynchronous time? And can you help me out with this or that? I have a few questions. So we have that in place. We have the math tutoring after school in place. And again, if students are still struggling, have them reach out to us, have them reach out to the counselor, and we'll try to figure out any other resources that may be available for tutoring during this distance learning time. But there is support.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. I wanted to add on what you just suggested to parents, is that there is that synchronous instruction time where the teachers deliver live instruction. It's usually the first 45 minutes of class. And then the second 45 minutes of class, which is the asynchronous, technically, the students can log off to do their work on their own, or they can stay logged on and get support from their teacher. Now, here's what I'm seeing as I visit classes. At the end of the direct instruction, the teacher will say, okay, so that's the end of direct instruction, everyone. You can either log off to do your work, or if you have any questions, I'm here, please, I'm here to support you. And then all the students leave. boom, 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 one at a time, they're all gone. And I know there are plenty of students that need support, but for whatever reason, I think usually because they're struggling, they just don't want to stick around. They don't want more of that. So here's what I suggest. If you know your student needs support, and you know now that Mr. Garcia and I am mentioning to you that during that part of the lesson, during the asynchronous time, that's when the teacher can give one-on-one direct support to the students where they can help them with their work to make sure they get it done. If I were you, I would email the teacher. That's probably the best thing to do, is email the teacher and say, look, Mr. Garcia, my son or daughter is struggling in your class. Can you make sure that at the next class, you talk to them about their assignments? And then that way they know to reach out to your student, because I've seen it. The teachers will say, I'm here, everyone, if you need support or tutoring, I'm here to support you, but they all leave. But if the teacher says, okay, Marco, I'm going to help you now if you can stick around for a little bit, and then that way they're forced to stay as opposed to them leaving. And it's not like they're going to ask them to stay every period, but that's a way that they can help them every once in a while. So if you want to make sure that happens, I would reach out to the teacher or teachers, however many they may be, and say, hey, my son or daughter is struggling. Can you please help them out during class? And that's what that period of time is for. Okay, so I want to stick to the agenda. I know we're now going on to parent announcements from our parent center. I believe, Alma, do you have the floor to make any announcements?
Okay, there you go. Thank you, Ms. Gavin. Yes, we have some announcement that I have, some parent meetings is a safety meeting, parent safety meeting this November the 12th, and elect Entitled 1 the 20th. But the most important right now that I think for parents, because parents also need help, so that we have 2 workshops that can help them and and to help their students for everything the struggling that they are happening right now. So it's one is from the district. It is do we have the flyer? Can you show the flyer, please, Eric? Let me see, because I can't see it. So it's the district. It's from the district. Did you together with the USSD? So it's for just for the Mr. Garcia was talking about. Is for helping. It's focused on navigating the challenges of learning at home during COVID-19. You know, everything that's happened right now. And also we have a workshop here at school with Andreina Cruz. She's a family therapist, and the topics is related for that too. So she is here, and she's going to present herself and talk about a little bit about the program, the workshops. Hello? Hello.
Hi, thank you, Alma. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here, one of your meetings. Oh, hi. I'm so happy. You know that I'm here for you. For those of you who already know me, my name is, well, for those of you who already know me, hi. And for those of you who don't know me yet, I hope I could meet with you pretty soon in our workshops. My name is Sandrina Cruz. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. Me and my husband, both psychotherapists, and we have a private practice here in Chula Vista. And it's always an honor when the school invite us to be a part, to support you all. And well, when Alma and I were thinking about these workshops, we were thinking about you, honestly. We were thinking about, first of all, creating a safe space for you guys to talk about what the challenges that are coming up, because there's new challenges. We don't need just a parenting class, do this, try that. We need more than that right now. And I was so happy to hear Marco say we got support here, but sometimes as parents we struggle to reach out to Marco and say, Marco, my child does need support. We do need your services. And not only, it's a blessing that you guys have these sessions, this support at school, but there's also other programs in the community that are free. And so that's part of the things that I want to share with you. Other services, even outside school, that are providing support for children when they are in crisis. But sometimes we don't know that children are in crisis. Sometimes we think that this is normal. This is something that, the child is just sad. Oh, it's just a pandemic. When no, sometimes this situation that we're living, it just intensifies the things that were already there, or brings up new challenges and new things and new mental health issues that we are to pay attention to, because we want the children to thrive at school, have great grades. But the thing is that if their mental health is not well, if the family is living more stress and they don't have the skills, the understanding of how to provide a safer, a less anxious environment at home. If we don't know how to do that first, then they log on into their class and they're already stressed out, or they don't even want to be there, or they're so anxious that they can't even think or process what they're doing. So I'm not going to extend more of what of my intervention here, but we have these classes on Tuesdays. I believe there's going to be another class, so we are going to change the day, and might be the same time. We're considering starting in 2 weeks. So next week, you guys have support from this other workshop. But I'm going to be with you guys in 2 weeks, and please make sure to see the update of that flyer. And I would love to see you there. I would love to support you and help you navigate all the challenges that are a parent. It can be intimidating, all the new things that we have to do. Log on here to help your child with that, when maybe some of us were not even trained to do all of this, and it's added tension to our life. We have work, we have the kids, we have parenting, and on top of that, helping them navigate all online school. It is challenging. How do we do that? What do we do with our own mental health and what we need? Because in the midst of us supporting others, we also need support. So who's going to be there for us, right? So we're here for you. Marco, I love that he shared that they're also there for you guys. But so we'll see you in 2 weeks. Alma, you want to say anything else?
Yeah, just that be aware of your Jupiter grades, your email, because everything is going to be posted on your the calendar, the meeting calendars, and the workshops is going to be posted there. So just be too aware to check your emails. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Ms. Andrina, for being here with us today. We appreciate you and your continued support to our parents by providing workshops and informing them. So we hope that everyone here can join us. I put a little message in the chat saying that once we have the new dates, because we do want everybody to take a chance and go to the other classes that the district set up for us, for our parents. It's so much easier for you to join these meetings because now we have the access online versus you being there in person. So we want to make sure that all these workshops are at a good time so that you can get as much information as you can. So thank you so much. Another quick announcement is that we have our grades, our 12-week progress report grades are due today. You should be able to see them through Infinite Campus. And now I'll turn the floor to Dr. Gavin again for questions and answers.
Thank you, Ms. Gloria Martinez. So first I'm going to start with the questions that were sent to us prior to the meeting. So I'll address those, and then if you have any other questions, you are welcome to unmute yourself or put it in the chat box. But one of the questions that was sent and addressed to me is in regards to how long it takes, or how long should it take for teachers to grade assignments and then put the grade or points in Jupiter grades. So of course it's going to vary depending on the assignment and then how much work is being submitted. I know a lot of teachers are being gracious and allowing for students to turn in late work for credit, which is really good. So even if students missed a deadline, they're still able to turn in assignments and get credit for it. And again, if the teachers are getting a lot of assignments at once, it's going to take them a while to grade them all and put them into Jupiter grades. But on average, for the most part, give or take, it should take an average of about a week. So if a student or students submit an assignment on today, Friday, usually that grade should be in Jupiter grades the following Friday. It might be sooner. There's some teachers that get them graded over the weekend when they're not technically even supposed to be working, but they do that, and you'll see it posted in Jupiter grades. But on average, it's about a week. Now, I would say similar to everything else I've mentioned, where you've been patient, you've been waiting, or maybe you feel okay sending a correspondence, an email to the teacher, just asking, I know my son or daughter turned in a lot of work, but I don't see it updated in Jupiter grades. Are you able to give me an update on what their grade may be right now? Because I know that you want to make sure that that work was submitted, first of all, if your son or daughter told you it was, and make sure that it's counting towards their grade. But if you either don't get a response back from the teacher, or you just feel maybe a little uncomfortable asking the question, you can always reach out to either your son or daughter's counselor or to an administrator. It could be me, one of the assistant principals. Say, hey, my son or daughter's grades haven't been updated in this class. Can you help me out and maybe help me communicate with the teacher? And we can try to bridge that communication. We can reach out to the teacher for you if for whatever reason you don't feel comfortable doing it or you're not able to, then we can do that. But usually it's an average of about a week. Next question, and then I'll get to the ones in the chat box because I see questions already being posted. So another question that was asked was in regards to if and when students are allowed to go back to school. So let's say the school reopens and we're able to have students there live. The question is, will my son or daughter be able to continue through the rest of the year through distance learning, or would I have to take them somewhere else? So right now, I don't have a 100% answer to that question, because right now we're not looking to open up the school. As you know, we're in distance learning through December. And at the board meeting at the end of the month on November 30th, our school board is going to decide if or how we may open school in January. We may not. They may say, you know what, it's looking at the numbers, the pandemic, it's still not safe. And even if we do open up school, I can tell you this, it's not going to be where everyone is going to go back to school at the same time. We have over 2,600 students, about 200 staff. We're looking at close to 3,000 people on our campus. Even if we were to open up the school in January, it won't be with 3,000 people going back at the same time. At best, this is at best, if they say, yes, I think we're going to be able to open up the school in January, but it's going to be in phases. And it could be where we open it up where only 10% of students go to school each day. For example, 10% of our total population is about 260. So maybe on Monday, there'll be 260 students there where we make sure everyone's socially distanced. But then the following day, they'll get their education through distance learning the same way they're getting it now. because then on Tuesday would be a different group of 260 students coming on the campus. So if and when we do open, and that might not even be in January, it might be in February, it might be in March. Again, it all depends on the number of COVID cases in the county, and not just the county, but specifically in South Bay. So if you look at the data in South Bay compared to North County, we have the highest rates in National City, Chula Vista, San Isidro, Imperial Beach. We have the higher rates. So we're going off of the numbers here, not just the county. So if and when we do open up, it's going to be in phases. And if you don't feel, if say we say, okay, your son or daughter can come to school on Monday, or your son or daughter's designated day is on Wednesday, but you don't feel comfortable sending them to school, you don't have to. I mean, I'm sure that's going to be part of the protocol where parents may have the option to keep them at home through distance learning, and teachers will still be providing distance learning using the same platform through Google Classroom. So I anticipate that happening, but I know the district, as we start making decisions, they're going to ask you these questions. They're going to send surveys, and they send them out in English and Spanish, which is so important why you need to complete those surveys to let us know what your thoughts are, because they are going to ask you, if we do open up in phases, would you send your son or daughter to school? Do you feel comfortable with that? Why or why not? We need to hear from you so that the board can understand, well, yes, either parents feel comfortable, they say, yes, have my son or daughter go to school, or no, look, 50% of them are saying that they don't feel comfortable sending them to school because there's still too many health risks. And so it's important that we hear that from you. And then the last question I see here is actually for Ms. Morris, our ASB Dean. She's our assistant principal of athletics and clubs. And so the question was that if the athletic department is going to start baseball conditioning. So some of you may have heard that right now, I believe starting next week, we're starting conditioning for season 1 sports. So some of those sports, I believe, are football, volleyball. So those are season 1 sports, and they're starting conditioning. The season hasn't started. It's not like, you know, when we have tryouts and games and competitions. This is conditioning, meaning this is where they're going to start working out, getting ready, because we can't have students and adult. If you think about it, as an adult, you don't go from, you know, sitting on your couch for weeks and then all of a sudden go out and run a marathon. You can't do it. It's very unhealthy and you can injure yourself. So before the season of sports start, we're bringing in small groups of students in each sport to do conditioning. This is all outdoors. Nothing is inside the gym, nothing indoors, all outside, small groups, socially distanced, wearing masks, and they're going to start exercising, getting fit, getting ready. Now the question is, when is baseball going to come back for conditioning? So the answer to that is right now it's football, volleyball, a couple other sports, but baseball at earliest, it'll probably be in December. But Ms. Morris and our athletic director, Ms. Pax Huckabee, they'll send that communication out to our families, especially our athletes' parents. We'll get that information. But right now at earliest, it'll be December. And remember, the baseball sport doesn't start like with tryouts or with games and competitions until March. So that season won't start until March, which is why their conditioning is going to start later, if that makes sense. But if you have any specific questions about sports, conditioning, athletes, even in small groups on our campus, you can email Miss Deborah Morris. Maybe we can put her email in the chat box. And you can either email her and ask those questions, or you can also give her a call. Her direct line is 619-474-9751. That's her direct line. But email is always the best. You'll probably get the quickest response via email, which is now there. Thank you, Ms. Bea Martinez, in the chat box. All right, so I will now go up to look at the questions that have been posted in the chat box. And okay, so what about the after school program and like sports? My daughter wants to join cheer. So again, once those season of sports, and that also would be a question for Miss Morris. So if you want to directly email her, she can give you more specific information. But in general, as some of these sports, and cheer is considered a sport, as some of these sports come back into season, that information goes out to students and parents as far as when conditioning will start and when tryouts will start too. So those are two different things. There's conditioning, meaning exercising, getting fit, getting ready, and then there's the tryouts for that particular sport, including cheer. And then after tryouts, when team members have been identified, then we're talking about competitions, the actual games that will take place. Okay, another question. What's the rule on taking a roster during class? What's the requirement? So I don't know, what's the rule on taking a roster during class or taking attendance during class? Is it regarding attendance? So if we're taking attendance during class, the requirement is that the student be present, just like everyone here in this meeting is present. They don't have to have their camera on. They don't have to have their camera on. So that is something that's been asked a lot. So again, if your son or daughter has a teacher that's requiring them to turn on their camera at any time, even if it's to take attendance, like, you know, if they were to say, hey, Amy, turn on your camera so I can see you're there, they're not supposed to do that. So please let me know. Again, that's something I would want to directly address because I've reminded staff to not do that. And that question was asked by another parent at a previous coffee with the principal, because I remember the question was, why can't they require them to turn on their cameras? Because my son sometimes falls asleep, and because the camera's off, so he falls asleep at the desk. And the reason why is that, you know, we have our families in different environments at home with different things going on, right? Personally, right, I'm at home right now. I have an office at home. This is very luxurious for me. And I don't have anyone else in the house right now. No noise, no people walking behind me, distracting me. But I think a lot of students would not feel comfortable turning on their camera because there's so much going on behind them. You know, parents, other children that they're taking care of, a dog. So just different things that might be happening. And that's why we don't require students to turn on their cameras. So if there is a teacher that's requiring the students to turn on their camera, please let me know so I can address it directly with them, because I have sent that reminder and talked about it at faculty meetings several times. So they shouldn't be doing that. And then let me keep going through the chat box.
Miss Gavin, good morning. I do
Good
have
morning.
a question.
Yes.
So one of my son's teacher requires, for attendance purposes, requires them to turn in. I'm not really sure. I think it's in Jupiter. Even though he sees them in class, you know, they chat or whatnot, he gets marked absent because I guess one of the requirements for the teacher is to answer a question in Jupiter and submit it to him. And I guess it happened a few times, you know, he submits it, but then the teacher doesn't see it, so he gets marked absent. But he was in class since the beginning. He wasn't even late. So now he has an absent to deal with. And it has happened more than 2 times. And it's frustrating because he's there. I know he's there. I go and see him. He's in class. He participates in everything. But because he didn't answer that one question, he gets marked absent. And I don't agree with that, because he's the only teacher that my son has issues with. And then there's times that he will say, well, this is how I want to do it, so you just have to do it, kind of deal. And it's frustrating because not the rest of the teachers, you know, they don't do that. He has a perfect attendance, but this one teacher is just not. I'm not sure how he really is doing the business, but I don't agree with it, because he's the only one that requires even though the student is in class, is present, is participating, but because he didn't go in Jupiter, I believe it's in Jupiter, he puts a question for them to answer or something, they get marked absent. And I know I'm not the only parent complaining about it, but it keeps happening, and it's
Okay.
getting frustrating.
Thank you for letting me know, Ms. Hernandez. I wrote that down. Now, if you feel comfortable emailing me, you know, and there's my email. Thank you so much, Ms. Cuellar Martinez. It's like you're reading my mind. If you can email me, and my email's in the chat box, and let me know the teacher's name, that would help me out a lot. But I'm still going to send a reminder to all teachers, because it seems like students have to do two things to be able to get attendance credit. They have to attend class and answer the question,
Right.
turn in this assignment
Right.
to get credit. Now, I can understand, because teachers do, and this is something I was going to bring up. Let's say a student attends class, and teachers give assignments during class. They'll put either a quiz or a question or a survey, and through Jupiter Grades, and they tell them, okay, complete the survey or complete the question, and they get credit for their scholarship rate. It's like their assignment. But that should be separate. It shouldn't be part of the attendance.
Right, and that's the thing. He does have assignments, which my son is doing them, and which is, is done. But there is specifically a question in Jupiter that he puts it in for attendance purposes. And my son is in class. So, but because he didn't go in there and answer the question on time, or like one time, I know the one that I'm the absent that he has right now. He was in class, but the teacher didn't have the question on Jupiter at that time when the classes started. And then my son started, and the teacher said, go ahead and go do your assignments for that period. So he did. And by the time he noticed, obviously the question wasn't there at the beginning of the class. So he didn't go back and answer that question. So he got marked absent, but he was in class the entire time. So it's not fair. And plus he finished all the assignments as well. So it's frustrating just to deal with the one teacher that's messing up his attendance.
Right. Okay. So again, that's a reminder that I'm going to send to all teachers. But if you can email me the name of the teacher, that way, and who your son, or your son's name also, and not that I'm going to give your son's name, but that way I can verify the information, make sure I'm addressing the correct teacher. That way, I can directly address it with the teacher, as opposed to sending an email to all teachers, and if it continues happening, and maybe that teacher is ignoring what I'm requesting. So that's why I like to directly communicate with teachers if this is happening, because obviously this isn't just happening to your son, it's happening to other students, and we want to make sure we fix it. So thank you for letting me know.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Okay, any other questions? Again, you can unmute yourself or put it in the chat box. I know we're going a little over our time, but if there's anything else, I would certainly like to address it.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm a bit concerned about the timed quizzes. Not only the length of the questions, but just the fact that they're timed. I personally think that adds another layer of anxiety for the student. And if we're having technical issues and it's out of their control, sometimes they just give up. And since they're not going to have enough time to do it, then why even bother doing it? Is it a requirement for certain quizzes or tests to be timed? And then also, like, they're not only timed, but they're like 40 questions timed. That adds a lot of stress.
Thank you. Is this something like for math? I'm thinking, gosh, if there's 40 questions or.
Yes,
like
math, especially
okay.
during math. And it's something where, if it's not just your simple math, it's your algebra math where you have to do the
Right.
different calculations, and plus being timed. I don't see how that can be possible,
Right.
with these current circumstances.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. That's something I'll also address. So especially as you bring up these questions or concerns, this is something I address with all staff. I send them an email letting them know here are some of the concerns parents have brought to my attention. If you can please keep this in mind, and especially if it's something that can be fixed, or it's a protocol or part of our guidelines during distance learning that we're supposed to follow. Now, I don't know of any specific quiz or test that is supposed to be timed. So I don't know if it's maybe a teacher or a group of teachers that are doing it this way, but I'm going to open up the communication and let them know that if it is a requirement to be timed, for them to let me know, because as far as I know, there shouldn't be any tests or quizzes right now that need to be timed.
Oh yeah, it's happening like, yeah, more than once.
Okay, so I'm
So
seeing in the chat box this happens in math and chemistry class.
true,
Okay.
chemistry class as well.
Okay.
Sure.
So I mean, I'm gonna send. I always send it to all staff, but then I'll state that specifically I'm being told that it's happening in math and chemistry. So you know, if the whole intent and purpose is to assess student learning, to understand what they learned, does it have to be timed? I know I need all the time I can be given if I'm taking a quiz or test. I need it all.
Right.
But if you were to give me a time limit, then I'm not probably going to be able to fully demonstrate what I actually know. I'm going to probably give you half as much of what I know. So thank you for sharing that with me, and that's something I will address and follow up. If it continues, if you can please reach out to me and let me know. You know, you don't have to wait till the next coffee with the principal, but this is something I'll try to send out today to staff and for them to discuss in their departments, because I want to make sure it's not just one teacher who stops doing it, but this is something we shouldn't be doing unless, again, they tell me, oh no, this is a state mandated test and it has to be timed. Then I'll ask them to send a communication to parents letting them know for this particular test it has to be timed. But it sounds like it's all quizzes or tests that are being timed.
And I understand, because there are some state tests that do require that. But no, I mean, there's no state testing going on right now.
Right. Yes. Okay, thank you.
If I may, remember this, we're doing this time, so appreciate all the feedback that comes from parents and students. You know, if a student is feeling the anxiety, or, you know, something's not working for them, we do appreciate them advocating for themselves, and then parents speaking up and letting us know what's working and what's not. I think the logic behind that would be that, you know, when we are in a classroom, you know, they do only have 40 minutes assigned, or like, you know, they want to make sure they're not cheating. But we also have to think of the other side of like, no, they're not in the regular learning space. They are getting this extra layer of anxiety. So we as teachers, we need to take that in consideration too. So thank you for the feedback. And I know Dr. Gavin will work with the teachers to make sure that we find the, you know, at least some kind of balance for this distance learning.
Right. Thank you, Martinez. That's exactly what I was going to say, is that, you know, when we're in the classroom, you know, there are some exams or quizzes that are timed. You know, I was an English teacher before I was an administrator, and I remember because we had a state mandated 40-minute timed essay, to get them ready for it, I would give them practice. So it's okay, in practice for, you know, next week's timed essay that we all have to do, let's practice. So I would give them 40 minutes in class to practice, but we're in the classroom. I'm there monitoring their, you know, their writing. I'm there walking up and down the rows to provide assistance that they needed. It's quiet, the door is closed. So it's different. And like Ms. Martinez said, we're in a whole different environment. And I think back to, I'm so happy. Well, first of all, we didn't have technology when I was in high school. This was in the late 80s, early 90s. But I had 3 sisters, a brother, my 2 parents. So there were 7 of us living in our house. It was never quiet. So there's no way I would have been able to do the work that's being required. And that's why we have to find the balance. I'm not saying that teachers not give any requirements or not ask anything of students. There has to be a balance, though, of course. And I know you all agree. I know no one's saying, oh, no, don't ask our students to do anything. There has to be a balance because there's no way we can teach and learn the same way we used to when we were in the classroom. We just can't. It's different. And we're trying to get everyone to recognize that, and we're all working together to help each other out to make sure we not only understand, but that we follow through. And we certainly don't want to create any more anxiety with our students, because we know this is very difficult, and for our parents too. You know, you're many of you having to go to work, so you're leaving your kids behind at home, hoping things are okay. I know you wish you could stay at home to support them, but then you have to go out and make money. I know I have to make money. I have to pay the mortgage. So we know you have your responsibilities and you're doing the best you can. And that's why I always appreciate that you attend these meetings, because I know it's time, and I know we've gone way over the time, so my apologies, but I do know these are very beneficial for everybody, for you hopefully, and then they're certainly beneficial for me, because you're the ones that we want to make sure we not only accommodate, but make sure we're serving you and your students the right way, especially right now. That's why the communication piece is even more important, more than ever, that we stay communicated. And like I've said over and over again, please don't feel like you have to wait until the next coffee with the principal to express any questions or concerns. You can email me directly. If you feel more comfortable talking over the phone, you can also, I'll put my direct line in the chat box. If you feel more comfortable talking to me on the phone, you can, that's my direct line at work, 474-9714. Those messages only go to me. Even if I'm working at home, from home, I check my messages every day, all day, and I will call you back. So if that's more comfortable, that's fine. Email is fine. Again, let's keep the lines of communication open. Any other questions? Again, you've given me enough to make sure that I will communicate with our teachers today and make sure that we do what we can to decrease the anxiety. We shouldn't be increasing, we should be decreasing. Yes, I do too. Being connected and being on the same page is very important. That only happens by communicating, whether it's in writing or verbally, you know, that's very important. I never want to assume what you're thinking, and you shouldn't assume what's going on at our school or what I might be doing. Let me know and it will be addressed. Okay, well, thank you all so much once again, and I appreciate all of your support. I do feel supported by you, like I said, just you asking questions and being here. And of course, I want to thank our team. We have a very strong team at Sweetwater: Ms. Cuellar Martinez, Denise Eniguez, Eric Hernandez, Alma Martinez. I mean, it's a great team. Mr. Marco Garcia, our head counselor. We're all here to support each other, and we're going to continue doing that more so than ever. We need to be strong, but we're only stronger together. That's why we need to stick together. So thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your day. Oh, and remember, and we'll send an email out next week as a reminder, but remember, next Wednesday is Veterans Day. No class on Wednesday. So when your student tells you they don't have classes on Wednesday, believe them. Believe them. There's no class on Wednesday. It's Veterans Day. But Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, we have classes. All right? Thank you all so much, and have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Gracias. Hasta luego. Para servirle. Hasta luego.
Gracias.
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 ¿Cómo te sales?
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. We can stop recording the meeting now.